Alrighty, we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to the CyberSec show. My name is DC, and today we're talking with Rio. How's it going, man?
Yeah, good, DC. Good to be here.
That's good. That's good. Bear with me 1 second. I just closed the one window I actually needed open. Um, so, by accident. Yeah, welcome everyone to the stream. I hope there's a few people popping in here because this is going to be a good stream to watch later for anyone who's interested in, I think, starting their own business. Not specifically just cybersecurity, but pretty much everything IT. Which is a good segue into the first question for you, which is basically to tell us all a little bit about yourself for those who don't know who you are and what you do.
All right, let's do it. So I think I'm one of the more extreme examples of chasing knowledge over certifications and the like, because I've been in the industry for around 12 years now, and I have not a cert to my name.
Right. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's interesting in far north Queensland. If you can demonstrate what you know, then that often goes a long way. But I found that I got my start I got my first tech support job because I'd had some oddly enough I had some very very basic web development experience. So I'd done a fair bit of PHP programming and like HTML and CSS markup and stuff while I was still in high school, and that turned out to be enough to get me an entry level position as an entry level help desk position within a company that was they're in the employment sector. They've got contracts in 3 or 4 different states at the moment. And I worked my way through there. So I went from having zero Active Directory experience. I knew how to slipstream a Windows XP install back in the day, which helped me hit the ground running there. But beyond that, I was learning about ghosting and sysprep and everything
All
that
that
goes
stuff.
into
Yeah.
that type of work. So yeah, so I was in that type of role, that help desk slash technician role, for about 3.5 years, and towards mid 2013 that a few of us got handed redundancies, and was one redundancy in the IT department. That was unfortunately that was me, and it was just as we were really starting to get into virtualization and the like.
All
Um,
that stuff. Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it
Right.
wasn't. I would have liked to have done a little bit more in that space beforehand, but the next role I had was in a primary to 12 private school. I was in a college about 15 minutes away from where I live. And
Convenient.
that was
Yeah.
the trial by fire that I wanted, or slash needed, slash
Yeah.
was kind of looking for, I think.
Okay.
So I learned, and that was where I learned everything from, there was the first time I touched Cisco gear, and we had almost 20 buildings in the college,
Wow.
with
Holy shit.
roughly, this is something to the tune of around $750,000 worth of Cisco gear. The
Damn.
10 gigabit fiber between all the buildings, and yeah, I
Was this a
was
university or?
no, this was a no, this is a local college, so just a P to 12
Wow.
school.
Okay.
Um,
Jesus
so they
Christ,
had
that's some serious kit for a school.
yeah, they had a 12 port core switch with the all of the twin X ports on them, and they had multiple distributions. So it was that that core distribution edge kind of campus model that Cisco loved to set up for everybody. And yeah, there was a ton of equipment on that, multiple versions of iOS that we were dealing with, and yeah, it was the first time I'd ever touched any of that equipment.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember
Okay.
the day after I got the keys, I'd walked into the place. I got given an A3 blow-ups, an A3 size sheet with some credentials to get into different things, and I got given a set of keys. And the second day on the job, I'd gone in and I'd been greeted at the tech office with panic because one of the cleaners had gone through and turned off the air conditioning in the server room after they were cleaning. So all of the machines, they turned everything off and then closed the door. So all of the gear had it was like walking into an oven in there.
Oh
and
God.
so
did anything die? Did anything like?
Thankfully, no. Thankfully, no. But I wasn't able to. We weren't able to do a lot for probably about half the day.
Yeah, while everything cooled down or turned back on. Yeah, bloody hell, that's insane.
So,
yeah, right.
So second hardwired air conditioner was pretty quick to go in after that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
That's
but
crazy.
as far as trials by fire go, like that was it. You name it, and stuff happened there. I'd had
pretty much.
We had some bad weather. We had a storm nearby, and some parts of the school grounds there have they must be rich in ore or something like that, because we had a thunderstorm nearby, and there was some flash over from a nearby lightning strike, and it actually took out. It took out a few pieces of hardware. It took out a distribution switch that was in the library, the fax card out of a copier, someone's PC. So you end up having to rework half the infrastructure to get the rest of the buildings online, because the switch that happened to take out was the feeder switch for buildings further down.
Okay.
So we had a. So it was one of those cases where if there was anything that was going to go wrong in terms of tech, that was the place where it was going to go wrong.
Bloody hell. Okay, well, I mean, that's a good way to learn, at least. Just sort of been thrown into the deep end and be like, fix it.
Yeah, it's kind of learn.
Yeah,
it's kind of learn by doing. And
that's good.
So it was pretty much what I've done since. But I've worked in the banking sector as well. I covered a short contract while someone was on maternity leave, so I got an insight into how smaller credit unions do things. After that, I worked for another local tech company, and eventually decided to start my own thing. I worked with a local training company for a couple of years. It was only meant to be 3 months. It turned into like almost 2.5 years worth of work, which was pretty awesome.
Cool. Was that contract as well, or was that like a full-time?
Yeah, that was contract. So I was billing them every week, and
Nice.
so that was nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, right. Okay. So what, I guess after doing all of those different jobs, what sort of made you want to jump into running your own business?
It was essentially working for. I'd worked for enough people at times, and I'd been subject to redundancies or contracts that ended and things like that. And I learned that essentially having that full-time job is essentially about as secure as having a single client. So just gonna adjust my chair for a second.
Yeah.
It's about as secure as having only one client. So ultimately I wanted to take control of my own destiny, so to speak. And I knew that because we wanted to be starting a family soon, and I wanted to be able to try and do some things and put some things in place so that I'd be able to spend time with my son when I needed to. And as it turns out, you may see me go and grab him for some reason. He's decided he wanted to wake up at this time. It was
standard.
Just like every
good timing.
Just like every shadow session, without fail for the last month.
Pretty much. That's all right. He's a night owl, and I appreciate that.
He is.
I was pretty much exactly the same when I was a kid. As soon as I heard the TV going, I was like, "Yep, it's Formula One time, baby. I'm going downstairs to watch TV with Dad." But So okay, that's a pretty interesting story of, I guess, how you sort of got yourself started, as well as what sort of pushed you to go into running your own business. Fairly similar. I'm not so much pathway, but reason for wanting to start my own thing as well was the money in contracting at the time was pretty good. which is why I still do a lot of contracting work, and the freedom, potentially freedom, is pretty good as well. So yeah, there's lots of good reasons to do it, but it's not as easy as it sounds. You can't just sort of run up a business and instantly get customers and all that stuff. So it's there's a lot more behind the scenes than I think a lot of people realize there, but that's okay. So what was the moment for you? I guess not so much where you thought cybersecurity was the thing that you wanted to do, but more IT managed services. What was the point of time for you that you thought, this is what I want to do?
I suppose it was like I'd always had the interest in it. I was always quite good at it.
You okay? That's all good.
He'll come over if he wants to come over.
He'll be right.
He it was always a case for me. It wasn't so much that I wanted to get into an MSP type role specifically. I guess it was more that that was a role that would start to kind of make sense because I wanted to start operationalizing things and putting things in place and putting systems in place, and that was going to be the more efficient way of doing it. I found that one of the points that I don't do that a lot of MSPs do is set up 3 and 4 year contracts and things like that. I'd rather let the work speak for itself.
Yeah.
But I know that going down the line, that's probably something I'm going to need to do, especially when it comes to if I look to exit the business and I want to actually sell it, then I need to have those 3 year contracts and 4 year contracts in place so that it looks good on a balance sheet and whatnot. But while I'm sort of getting into it all and still navigating everything, navigating losing an industry vertical when COVID hit and coming back from that, I'm just sort of keeping things nice and lean as much as I can. But it was more so that it was always something that it's something I had a natural affinity for. It's something that is always changing. It's something that will always be relevant, and it's something that you can demonstrate and I can continually make some good money on.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you need to take care of your kid for a second, or is he good?
Come here. No, he doesn't want to come over here. So.
Okay, that's cool. I think I would have to change the settings on the YouTube thing because I'm not allowed to have kids in videos as well.
Yeah.
So there is that. But also, yeah. Anyway. So yeah. Okay. So that's sort of the moment for you where you thought you're like, this is, I guess, what you want to do, and also moving forward into, I guess, like you said, running your business in a lean manner. What do you sort of mean by that? Just for the people who don't understand what a business in IT looks like, and trying to be as, I guess, minimal as possible on spending and any sort of infrastructure, things like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, let's say, when you start an IT business and you need to have systems in place to manage contracts and manage the customer relationships and whatnot, it can get expensive very, very quickly. Anyone who's worked on, anybody who works with tools like ConnectWise or works with Datto can attest to that. The tools are often very heavy. You're locked into them for years at a time, and they can be incredibly expensive depending on where you get them. If you go direct with the providers, sometimes you're locked in for 2 to 3 years with contracts that auto renew, and sometimes those terms can be really, really hard to swallow when you're starting off. When you're established and you've got 5 or 6 techs working under you, then those can help save a lot of time on the admin back end. Or when you're doing things with yourself and maybe 1 or 2 others, and things are a little more manageable, those kind of solutions can at times be quite cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
So I try and keep everything, because I'm running a solo operation at the moment. I keep things as minimal as possible, so I won't roll out a tool like that unless I absolutely need to, or there's a great upside on the admin back end that I can leverage and automate the heck out of, basically.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. And I think like with automation, there's as far as like client requirements go, I've personally seen a lot of um, automation tasks being brought in to like the day-to-day job where like one of my clients that I go there 3 times, sometimes 5 times a week. So I'm there a lot, and they have a lot of automation work that they like to be done for various different reasons. Have you sort of seen the same sort of thing popping up in your clients, or what's like a growth area, I guess, of concern or something that they want to see more of from you as far as like IT services go?
Where I am, a lot of people want, yeah, they want as much service as possible for as little cost. They want that value right off the bat.
Yeah.
So with what I'm doing, I want to make sure that I've got, that I implement reliable and secure infrastructure first at that kind of base level, because that's something that ultimately everyone can commoditize. And I'm looking at 9 or 10 other providers just in in my city that do very similar stuff to me. A lot of them are sole Microsoft shops and the like. Yeah. But a lot of clients are just looking for really high value for money, and they just want the fast service, and they want to be able to just pick up the phone and call somebody. I found that you can set up all different manners of communications and ways that you can take your take customer queries, but in FNQ, people still want to be able to pick up the phone and call and talk to somebody, and they want to be able to talk to somebody local. So that still has a lot of
exactly
a lot of value, a lot of play. Yeah.
It's it's literally the exact same thing here. Before I get on to the next set of very generic questions that I ask everyone, I need to ask about time management, because I've just thought of it. How the hell do you manage like a kid or kids? Do you have more than one kid?
Just one, thankfully.
Just the one? Okay, so how do you manage a kid running a business, self-learning, and also like actually supporting the clients? How do you get through all of that? Do you have like any sort of time management techniques that you could potentially share with the people?
What I do nowadays is I block out time during the day for the different tasks that I need to do. So I'm even looking at setting some reduced hours for when clients are taking tickets or when they'll be actioned. So a lot of businesses up here operate 8:30 till 5. What I'm looking at doing is maybe looking at the promise of saying we'll do tickets from 9:30 until 4, which leaves an hour on either side of the day to action anything that comes in from the day before. Unless something is an emergency, then that'll give me time to look at anything that carries over from the day before, or anything that carries over from the weekend or the like. And if you need to, hang on a minute.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, mister.
While you're doing some stuff there, I'll just say hello to Sicario. Sup, welcome. Abhishek Sharma, welcome back. Good to see you. G Vix, howdy. Mashra Mahmood. I don't know if I said your name wrong. I'm very sorry. And Newbie Guitar, welcome all of you. Also Azadine Tuati watching on Facebook. It always surprises me when I see people watching here from Facebook. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Let's get back to the interview, Ria. If you're good. Yep.
That's all
cool.
Good.
So that's good. So yeah, time management techniques.
So basically, I block out time for the day for whatever events I need to do. Like I'm in a local BNI chapter, and I'm throwing my hat in the ring for the president role for the next leadership team. So
nice.
That'll be an extra. There'll be an extra thing to do for that. So I block out my Wednesday afternoons for that, and that's a marketing exercise.
It's the afternoon sessions, because I used to do BNI, but it was always breakfast. It was at like 6 a.m. or something. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, we started some afternoon chapters up here, so it's
Nice.
great now. People can have a drink in the afternoons if they want to,
Yeah.
and it works out really, really well.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, and then for the work that I'm doing, I've usually just worked out of email and I've tried out Notion, Joplin, standard notes, and that type of stuff for keeping track of what needs to go where.
Yeah.
I'm using To Do and things like that. A lot of the Microsoft apps for tracking things, and
That's what they're
the
made
project
for.
stuff
It's all
goes
that
inside
productivity
the
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And so now I'm just working on adding in more flows and things like that, so that I can action different emails immediately as they come in, and set stuff up for a lot of the accounts payable, accounts receivable stuff, so that it all just flows into my accounting software and things like that.
Nice.
So just less
That's
manual
good.
stuff to do, and
Have you
don't
done
have as
any
much.
like really crazy flows in Microsoft Flow? Like,
No
what's
really
the most
crazy
extreme?
flows. No,
Extreme
the
power
most
automate.
the most extreme automation that I've done hasn't been within. It's not been within Microsoft, but it's dealt with. Like I coded up a web app in a PHP framework that would import CSV exports from a reporting database to get out of a really, really old version of Dynamics.
Oh yeah.
And we had to move all of those records into some new payroll software. This was before One Touch Payroll was coming in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was able to put a web app together that would take everything out of the data warehouse and load it all into a staging database, basically. And then once all the uploads are ready, you just push a button to start the upload process, and it would push all the records up in order. So it would start with all of the customers and their billers and the like, and then all of the staff records and the rates and things like that, and it would just push it all up.
Yeah.
Which
That's cool.
saved about 6 weeks of data entry. We worked out across 2 or 3 temps. So that was the most extreme automation, but it wasn't something that I could do with Power Automate, unfortunately.
Yeah. Also, probably, thankfully, at the same time.
Yeah.
So was that ending up going into like the Dataverse in 365 into another Dynamics thing, or was that just?
No, they moved away to some. They moved away to some industry, some fit for purpose tools, basically. It all got moved into a new piece of payroll software.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, back to the list of questions. What is your favorite piece? And then this is an interesting one for you because you haven't really done any certifications. Well, I don't think so. You've done no certifications, you said, right?
No, I've just done a lot of self-learning.
Yeah, okay. I guess then, what's your favorite piece of educational material that you've learnt from? Out of all the self-learning stuff that you've done, which is your favorite, or the one you feel is the one where you gained the most amount of knowledge from so far?
I've gained a ton of knowledge, security-specific knowledge. I gained a ton of knowledge out of Hackersploit's courses, out of Alexis Ahmed's courses. The multi-part series on hardening Linux, hardening Docker, hardening Windows. They've got red team courses and whatnot as well. So I was, when I've got time to go and learn something new, I'll drop in through those and take a look at what's going on there. For 365 specific stuff, I take a look at a lot of Robert Crane's work as well. He does a lot of. What's the matter, buddy?
I know.
Before I get to the next question, I'll just segue slightly here while you're helping your kid. I've got a question from Twitch from Captain Fun Day, and it says, "Hi guys, I'm currently 6 months part-time into a Cert 4 in cybersecurity and feel like I'm wasting my valuable time. I'd much prefer to focus my time learning to program and making my own projects. Is the piece of paper worth it, or should I quit?" So you're 6 months in. From memory, the Cert 4 is a 1-year cert. Correct me if I'm wrong. To be honest, I'd probably finish the cert now that it's started at least. Oh, it's 2 years part-time. Okay. I don't know, man. I'd still probably keep going with it. I know they start off really slow, and from the people that I've talked to who have done that cert, they've all said that it's a bit of a slow burner. You don't get to the fun stuff towards the end, but once you do have that piece of paper that says, you know, you've completed this, that some extra doors do open, and yeah, I mean, I'm pretty big on formal education, so I'd probably, I personally would recommend it. As much as I don't like, you know, sitting down and learning in that style, they do have a good use. So yeah, I'd stick it out, wait to the end, maybe ask to see what's coming up to get excited about. That might be a way to do it. Or if it's just really something that's like slow and boring, potentially just do some self-learning on the side on things that interest you. And you said programming is something you're looking at. Maybe have a look at that. I'll cut back over to Rio now if you're good to rock and roll.
Yeah, I just need to give him something to do.
Okay, right. Okay, cool. That's cool. This is why I wanted to ask you about time management techniques. I was like, how are you? You're just juggling. This is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So hacker sports courses.
Childcare helps a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, there's no childcare at midnight, unfortunately. All right. So I kind of already asked you this already, but what's the most growth area you've seen in far north Queensland as far as IT services go?
It's been kind of a slow burn up here, to be honest. A lot of it's mostly been a lot of status quo. But from what I've been seeing in the MSP space and in the IT services space, cybersecurity and cyber liability are the major talking points at the moment. That was part of my reason for joining Safer Internet Project as well, was looking at what I can do as looking to move into kind of like that, have that purple teamer mindset, and then have some GRC nous about me, so that I can design and change up my tooling and change up my security stack to try and respond or to actively defend against the type of cyber threats that are out at the moment. So it's very blue team heavy, but my thoughts on it are you can spend as much time as you want going into putting everything into the blue team side of things, and putting in a SOC and having the monitoring for that, and having XDR and all that and all sorts. But if you don't test it, you don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
When you're running an MSP, we test backups every month, but you often don't test the resiliency of your blue team stack, of your security stack.
That's it. I think also an interesting thing on MSPs with security that I've found is that it's easy to push a blue team service once you've already performed the red team side. So what I would normally do is go in with a network security or systems audit, basically. So just a security audit of their systems, whatever they are. And then identify all the threats, and then at the end write recommendations that are very specifically saying, like, this is how I will fix it for you, but you need this service that I offer. And chances are they're not going to bother looking around, because someone else is going to do the exact same thing, where they'll do a security audit and then follow up with, maybe they need Sentinel running over the top of their systems, or whatever it is to bring up some alerts. Like that thing I started in Safer Internet Project with the Elastic virtual SOC. I run an exact copy of, or not exact, but fairly similar version of that in my own MSP, and it at some of my clients, and they like it. They like those alerts. They like to see all that stuff. To the point that actually another MSP is renting space out of that service, who he seems to enjoy. I mean, I told him he could just build his own, but he was like, no, I can't be bothered. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, someone's already built it. Like, what?
Yeah.
Can I just rent it off you? Yeah.
Yeah, basically, he's like, yeah, that's too much, too hard basket. Don't have time. Just give me the alerts. So yeah, he runs that for his clients as well, and has his own login and stuff, and can see his clients. And it's I mean, it's an interesting way to go about things, but I can see that sort of coming up more and more in the managed service space, where people are pretty happy to collaborate with other like MSPs to leverage whatever their services are to bring across into their own business potentially. I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
yeah,
And there are some, and there are MSPs out there that will collab with managed security service providers to handle that side of things as well, and then that helps to reduce their cyber liability as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and a lot of them, they don't want to go out and get the additional insurance for cyber liability, so they'll just go out to someone who already does, which is something interesting we've seen with the Safer Internet project as well. Is because we spent a lot of time trying to get insurance for that. Now that we have it and have gone to different MSPs and said this is our service catalog, this is what we can do. They've said, yeah, sweet, we'd love to, push our service to you. You can do it with your members who can learn from it, and then they'll charge their client or whoever, and I mean, it's all happy days at the end, really, where they get a white label report or a service that's offered to them that's essentially free, and yeah, we get to teach people some cool stuff. Before I keep banging on about the Safer Internet project, because I'll go on for hours about that. If you had to give one piece of advice for anyone coming into the industry of IT as a whole, or wanting to start their own managed service provider, what would that be?
Don't underestimate the value.
I was going to say, don't do it.
Working at help desk. Well, that's one hot take, but no, don't underestimate the value that you can draw from having worked a help desk role.
I completely agree with that.
That's a role where you have interaction with everybody that you're going to be supporting, and through that you start to pick up on different user behaviors. You start to pick up on, because you'll see tickets come in potentially when people have clicked on links that they shouldn't, and maybe the company you're working for is running a phishing campaign, maybe they're not, maybe they have a SOC that they contract out to, maybe they don't, but you start to see that as you being a tier 1 or a tier 2 on a help desk, and with that you start to pick up on those user behaviors, you start to pick up on those patterns of thinking, and if you're going to move into a cybersecurity role, having that underlying knowledge and those underlying principles there will help you when it comes to crafting your own phishing campaigns, be it on a red team engagement or be it on an internal help desk wanting to set up security training for your users and the like. Having all of that information and having that having that background handy has been hugely beneficial for me personally, I have to say.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, and I think I would go as far as saying that a lot of blue team roles, especially the security analyst, right? That is essentially help desk, but specifically for security items. It's so similar. I've worked help desk before. I've worked in a SOC, and when I got into security, I was like, oh yeah, security, this is fun. I was like, oh, this is help desk, but it's security. Like, okay, cool. So that was, that was going from working at one MSP I was originally working at when I was doing a help desk role was they had like 4 offices around Australia. So it wasn't like a small one, but it wasn't a big one either. And then going to a government SOC, which was pretty big. It was like literally exactly the same thing. They even used some of the same like CRM type systems to manage all of the alerts and stuff coming in. So but yeah, you're right. Talking on help desk, being able to learn about different risks of different tickets, so all your ITIL fun stuff, and user behavior, also being exposed to like so much different technology businesses of different sizes and different regions. I mean, different places. If you talk to an office, say in Sydney, then you talk to one in same business, but they've got an office in, I don't know, South Australia or I don't know, Cairns, for example. They're totally different. It's a totally different vibe that you talk to that person, and that's only something you know once you've kind of done it. So I think it's a pretty big one. You've kind of already answered this question, but what is the typical day in the life of working at your own, self-employed as a managed service provider?
Okay. Yeah. So for me, once I've done anything I need to do, like any dad duties and any dad tasks that I have to do before the workday starts, I'll roll on out to a client site, or I'll head over to my desk. I sit in the home office and I'll crunch through anything that's come in from the night before. Once all that's taken care of, I'll then move on to any projects that I've got going on for the day. Like I said, I try and block out my time so that on the days that I'm not at a client site, I'm doing as much, do as much remote work as I can, and then block out my afternoons. So I block out my Wednesday afternoons for BNI specific stuff. But then I
Drinks,
work and do any stuff on a Friday afternoon. Yeah, well after the meeting we often go down for drinks afterwards.
Nice.
But
networking. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, I have a yeah. I have a I generally have a full day where I do remote work on a Friday. I'll head on site to a client if I need to, but I'll set the days where I need to go and do on site work on another day during the week, so that I keep my Friday as 100% remote, so I can do it that way. And I find that works quite well. I have 3 days a week that I'm working at a client site doing some sort of data heavy work that time around. So
okay,
but that's my day in the life. So
cool.
I've 3 days a week I'm at a client site, and 2 days I'll do remote work and
so
admin and whatnot.
That's like almost exactly the same.
Yeah, and then we'll see afterwards, all of the after hours admin and stuff that we do to try and free up the billable hours during the day. That also happens, as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's all my my questions. There is some questions in the chat though. If anyone in the chat wants to ask any questions, now's your time to do it. We got about 20 minutes left on this, but if I go through all these questions super fast, I'm gonna end it there because it's almost midnight and I gotta go to work. So, first question is from Rymac, and the question is, what kind of red team, blue team skills are required for cloud security? Skills, I would say, just knowing what those products are and how they operate without looking into the security specific side of them is what's required. After that, once you know how that system works, you can navigate your way around it, and you can learn about it from then on. There are like cloud specific certifications if you really want, but often they're not required until you're asked to get them by wherever you're working. So yeah, if you really want, go nuts. If you don't really want to, then don't. But yeah, I'd say that's pretty much the skills that are required. They're all very web-based products. So I don't want to say too much about it really. Do you want to add anything to that one, Rio, or not really?
We'll say that was pretty well said. We'll say all of the tooling that's needed for the different cloud security components is all very specific to the platform that you're dealing with, and then so the skill set comes from knowing that infrastructure and knowing how to use that tooling. I thought about I thought about Purple Panda and things like that, but you still need to have the underlying knowledge before rushing to, jumping onto that.
Yeah, that's true. Where's the next question? Is from Dimasalang. Question is, what web vulnerability will be obsolete in the future, like how SQL injection have become rare? That's an interesting question. I reckon the landscape is going to change completely. So say in like 10 years time, will people still be finding XSS everywhere? I reckon probably not. There'll be a different system that's built out that, I wouldn't say XSS is the one that I would choose. I just say it's just an example that technology changes and with it, so do the vulnerabilities. That's the political answer, I guess, but I mean, that's the honest answer as well. Technology is constantly changing. So, years and years ago, would you be looking for, I don't know, any of the newer vulnerabilities that's come out? Would you be looking for that? No, because that technology didn't exist. So as new technologies come out, new vulnerabilities come out, the old ones get sort of pushed away because they move away from that type of system. It's never ending. So it's kind of hard to answer that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I think that those kind of vulnerabilities would largely start to fall away. Not necessarily because the software itself has reached its final form, but more so because we start to abstract away the nitty gritty when it comes to those. Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like 10 years back. I was, when I'm looking at PHP frameworks, like 10 years back, I was looking at CodeIgniter. Now, a lot of people will code PHP applications in Laravel if they're building something custom. It's a very popular PHP framework, and a lot of the raw kind of query syntax that you see with SQL injection, and that would make it prone to SQL injection, would make it prone to cross-site scripting, would make it vulnerable to request forgeries and things like that. That all starts to fall away because the frameworks have countermeasures baked in. So with Laravel, if you try and pull any information out of the database, like by default, it's all sanitized. When you're submitting a form, when you build out the form, one of the options that you have to put in is a CSRF token, so that will help against your cross-site request forgeries and whatnot. So a lot of those things start to become taken care of as those technologies evolve, and you start to abstract away from writing inline PHP with a raw SQL injection that could be malformed.
Yeah. And this is sort of exactly why people in, I guess, red team security jobs really like coming across legacy systems, because they're older systems that still have potentially still have all of those older vulnerabilities that were found before. So that's another way, I guess, another take on that. Next question is from Azadine Tuati. The question is, what tools to use for good recon? Best tools to find endpoints and subdomains. There are so many tools, and you can write your own as well. So if you want to like bank up a bunch of different other tools that exist on GitHub and make one big crazy recon script, there is actually a recon tool on my website that I haven't used for a little while called cybersecguidance.com. I think it's like $5 or something. It's literally a recon tool, which finds subdomains and all of that good stuff. So there is that if you want to use it. Is it the best? I highly doubt it, but it's a tool. I don't know. What do you reckon the best tool is for finding subdomains and endpoints?
I tend to run a few different tools. Say I'll pull up my. Let's see. What have I got my aliases for this? I've got plenty of tools that I run through. Like for anything regarding Cloudflare endpoints, I've got a tool for that. I'll often run OWASP a mass and run that against domains. Then there's like Sudemy, Sublister. There's a few different tools in there that I'll run with, and I'll tend to run all of them, and then take the, if you put that Venn diagram together, I then take the intersections of all of those and work with that as a good endpoint basis, and like focus more on those. And then
That's pretty much what I did with the tool that I put on that website. Is I put together a bunch of tools that already existed and just had it run as one and output the best results, or those results out, so you could pick and choose which bits you thought were necessary. On to the next question from G Vix. Says, how much it cost to learn cybersecurity? That's a very difficult question to answer, because I don't know what area of cybersecurity you want to get into. Cybersecurity is an industry and not a specific job. So if you got some more info on that one, you're more than welcome to ask. But I would say it can cost nothing to learn cybersecurity as an industry, and all of its various parts, because there is so much content out there on YouTube, and there's free Udemy courses and giveaways constantly, and other ways of obtaining different sort of information. There's plenty of different ways you could learn that information. You could also just ask people for help. There's plenty of different ways to learn for free. Abhishek again says, can you explain your Safer Internet project, DC? Like, what is exact content we're going to get? What is going to be in different months? Good question. I might let Rio answer this one, seeing as he's a member of the Safer Internet project. I'll give you the quick rundown of how it's supposed to work, and then how it actually works. So we originally designed it with like a 6-month plan, so that you would complete all of the different learning modules within the first 3 months, and also attend shadow pen test sessions, so you can see Gareth, usually, I don't really do them, doing an actual pen test on an actual business system, and get to ask questions and learn from that. And then after 6 months, you can then become a verified analyst on the site and join in on doing pen tests. So that's how it's meant to work, and it loosely does work like that. The only difference is it's not exact on those months. So you can complete all of the modules in one day if you can. I would say it's impossible, but you never know. Maybe you could. Just because there's so much out there. There's so many modules. So yeah, it is possible to do that. But once you've done that, you also need to submit a report on an actual website. So it's just another side business of mine that I've basically shut down the business, but the website's still there just to pen test. So you submit a report on that with the report template that's you've learnt in the learning modules, and then from then on you do some actual pen testing. There is also knowledge college sessions usually. They're on every second week. On every other alternating second week, there's a catch up where I ask you guys to give me any feedback, and I tell you about new stuff coming up, and basically just have a chat. And then every week, there's one shadow pen test session, but that's looking to expand to either one shadow pen test session and one GRC session, depending on how things pan out in the next couple of weeks. But we're looking to have like one red team and one blue team session each week. All of those all the live sessions are recorded as well. And they're thrown up on the website just in case you're not in the right time zone to see it at that time. We understand that it's hard for people to get time to watch stuff at exactly the time it goes live, which is perfectly normal. So yeah, that's how it's meant to work. I'll let Rio go now and give you the unfiltered, this is how it actually works version.
So no, as I say, it works quite well in that regard. When you sign up, and you're onboarded and you're in the group chats and everything else and everywhere else that you need to be, you'll start off by doing you'll do some modules, and there's plenty of content on there, varying. There's plenty of red team content. There's some blue team content. There's more blue team stuff coming, if that's what you're interested in. I was interested in more the red team side of things. But the things that I'm always looking forward to are the Shadow Pen Test sessions, purely because, I've looked at when I started looking at this type of work and looking into how I can incorporate cybersecurity into my own business and integrate it, and really integrate it at a deep level. I needed to do more than what's available on labs from TryHackMe and Hack the Box and VulnHub and pulling down those labs and doing those, and getting the experience with real client engagements has been invaluable, because when you're dealing with CTFs and when you're dealing with those pre-built labs, they're great to learn about the tooling, they're great to look at how the process works, but there's always an end goal. You expect to exploit it, you expect to find something. Whereas when you're working with real clients and doing real engagements, that expectation isn't always there. So it helps to have that, to do those kind of engagements with that frame of mind, and I found that to be hugely beneficial. The modules have been helpful as well. I tend to smash them out really quickly when they get released. But those the content in there is the content is good though. Like it's always a good refresher. And there's a varied range of content from stuff specific to web apps to we've got WordPress modules in there as well. There's different concepts of tooling and whatnot in there. I'm looking forward to. I want to get to some Docker specific stuff. I quite enjoy working with containers and working with it all that way. It makes things, for me, I found it makes things so much easier, and I don't need to reach for Kali and Parrot VMs and the like. But
the Docker stuff.
The shadow sessions are. I'm gonna say the shadow pen test sessions have been really awesome, as well as the knowledge college sessions, especially the OSINT type work. I quite enjoy doing OSINT challenges with CTFs and whatnot, but it also helps to have that tooling there. And I know we talked about Down Under in the stream last week. I got clowned on so hard on that one last year.
Yeah, me too. Every year, actually.
Yeah.
Every single year, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I so bad at this? There's a lot of questions coming in now, so I'm going to power through a bunch of them real quick. Sakara asks, what's your take on imposter syndrome? I have an entire video about it. So if you type in dccybersec imposter syndrome into YouTube, you get my exact answer on that one. It's a fairly, I got told it's a controversial video, but I don't think it is, because it's my opinion. So, I mean, you don't have to listen to my opinion if you don't want. Another question, what's the best way to impress a recruiter other than showing certs or physical home labs? Being personable, upfront, and honest are always good things to go with there. I'm not going to even bother saying your name, I'm very sorry. It ends in 12. What books would you recommend for someone who is a beginner? Again, I have a video on this. Type in DC Cybersec 5 best books for pen testing or blue team. I've got 2 different videos. One's blue team, one's red team. Have a look at that. Dimmer Salang, another interesting question. I saw a video before that says WebAssembly will be like the future of the web dev. Do you guys think it would be worth learning a low-level language for future bug bounty? I don't know. I kind of hate bug bounties, so I don't hate them. I don't have time for them. As if I had to learn any assembly for a pen test that I was doing, I wouldn't even be put on that pen test because I'm not good at that type of pen testing. But if I had to, I'd probably start reading about it then. I probably wouldn't pre-learn about it, to be completely honest with you. Sicario, what made you do YouTube videos? I had a knee-jerk reaction after working in a defensive government organization where I had to shut off all of my social media for roughly 2.5 to almost 3 years. And yeah, I kind of flipped out and created a YouTube channel talking about cybersecurity. So that's how it all started for me. S. Miller says, hi DC, first question, can you fast track Safer Internet project and get on actual pen tests sooner than 6 months? For example, 3 to 4 months. I already answered that question, and yes, you can. S. Miller then says, second question, DC, what type of references do you provide so we can prove experience gained from this project? I put my name, my phone number, and my email address on your resume as a reference. So if, I mean, that's the reference you get. I also talk to recruiters to try and help you get a job. I don't make any crazy guarantees like I've seen out there where I'll get you a job in 6 months, because it's sometimes just not possible. But I'll do my best to talk to a recruiter in your local area, geographical area, to try and help put you in front of them for an interview. Let's scroll down. There's a bunch of MISC stuff. Abhishek says, I don't know if I can into industry with your SIP experience. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not going to make any promises that the Safer Internet project is the... I mean, I don't think it is. I don't think it is the one way to get into cybersecurity. I think there's multiple different things you need to learn to get in, and Safer Internet project solves one problem, which is helping you gain real-world experience. There's a lot more to it than that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to sell snake oil here or anything. I'm just making recommendations on what I think is good education. That's all the questions. I powered through them all. There's a lot of thanks at the end here. We're on almost exactly an hour, which is perfect. Thanks, Rio, for coming on and having a chat. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I hope to... I'll see you, no doubt, very soon. Well, I'll probably see you on Wednesday on the Shadow Pentest session on Safer Internet Project. Otherwise, yeah, I'll talk to you in Discord or Slack or one of the other many chat applications that we have. But yeah, thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, no worries.
That's good. Thanks everyone for popping in. Thanks Ned for modding the chat. Always a pleasure. Thanks for chucking the links in there as well. It's been good. And yeah, jump on next week, guys, for the next video. I can't remember who I have. Oh, no, I do remember. It's Cyber Lola. She works in Japan, I believe, for INE. So that'll be an interesting one to talk about. But yeah, I'll see you guys all there. Thanks for coming along, and I'll talk with you all soon.
All right.